The Director of Diaspora Directorate of the All Progressives Congress Presidential Campaign Council, Mr. Ade Omole, has called on opposition political leaders to embrace Senator Bola Tinubu as Nigeria's president-elect. Omole urged the opposition to emulate world leaders who saw a need, congratulated and recognized Tinubu as Nigeria's president-elect. While noting that he thought there were minimal hitches in a few states during the February 25 presidential election, he, however, said they were not enough to discredit the entire process. Omole advised that rather than hitting up the polity with unsubstantiated claims of electoral fraud during the election, members of the opposition parties should sheath their swords and allow peace reign. Joining us now on the show from our Abuja studio as the president-elect team continues to reach out to the opposition is George Agbakahi, member, APC Presidential Campaign Council, Media and Publicity Directorate, and Southeast leader, Tinubu Support Organization. Good morning and welcome to the show.
Well, Mr. Agbakahi, for a moment I thought...
and thank you very much for having me.
Yeah, for a moment I thought our guest was going to be Omole, but... It's good. It's Mr. Agbakahi. You both are from the same political party. But let me ask you, all the protests about the outcome of the February 25 presidential election, what we keep hearing from the APC is that anybody that is aggrieved should go to court. We'll meet you there. In fact, Keyamo was quoted as saying Labour Party and PDP cannot come together. Let them go to court. There's nothing they are going to prove. And Nigerians are asking, is there something that your party knows about the likely outcome, at the tribunal, and if the matter goes all the way up, that other Nigerians don't know? Because you seem to have concluded in the APC that the election is already won and lost, and anybody that is complaining is just wasting his time. Why do you hold that position?
Well, truly, the presidential and national assembly elections, was held 2 Saturdays ago, I think on the 25th of February, under the microscopic lens, of the entire world. This particular election, as you know, the competitive and dynamic nature of this presidential election has made it the most keenly contested election in the history of Nigeria and perhaps Black Africa. See, let me tell you, by and large, the people's mandate eventually has been delivered, and Senator Bola Ahmed Tinubu has been declared the president-elect of this country. So, see, let me tell you what is happening here. Just like in every election, all over the world, even in the United States, where we borrowed our democracy from, there are usually mixed reactions in every election. In our own case, there have been mixed reaction, from some people who do not agree with the results of the election. Conversely, so many people all across the country are pretty happy and delighted with the outcome of this election. So what you see happening is politically motivated. This election, in my view, is probably the most free, transparent, credible, and fair election in the history of this great country. If you really do a comparative analysis of elections that we've had in this country, starting from 1999 up till 2011, you will agree with me, and I believe the majority of Nigerians will agree with me, that this election is one of the best. As we all know, in our elections, there is bound to be a little bit of violence, because of the nature and dynamic of our political culture. But by and large, generally, this election is a good election. We have gotten a president. So what we need is the support of the opposition parties. Mind you, we only have one Nigeria. And they need to show tremendous patriotism, even in the United States. You remember the election between Al Gore and George Bush Jr. You know what happened in Florida. But after everything, Al Gore congratulated the winner. The same thing happened between Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump. You know fully well that opinion poll all across America and the world indicated that Hillary Clinton would win that election. But in the long run, you know how election goes. Donald Trump finally won the election. Hillary Clinton congratulated Donald Trump. So my advice to the presidential candidates of these opposition parties, they are all great men. The election has come and gone. Senator Bola Ahmed Tinubu has won the election. I think it is incumbent on them to put a call to the president-elect and congratulate him and join the APC in rebuilding this country. There are a lot to do in the rebuilding of this great country. You know, and
all right, Mr. Agbakahi.
The president-elect has been magnanimous. He has shown a lot of compassion. He has reached out to the opposition party. We can only have one president at a time.
Yes.
Let them join the president-elect in rebuilding this country.
Okay, Mr. Agbakahi. I just want to take
you
back.
We are not saying they wouldn't go to court.
Yeah.
We are not saying they wouldn't go to court. Going to court is part of the democratic process.
Absolutely. That's why I want to ask you. I want to take you on that statement you made, Mr. Agbakahi, because of our time. Just where you said that this election was the freest, fairest Nigeria has ever had. That's quite interesting. And that's, you're speaking in the same direction as Mr. Omole, also a member of the PCC, APC-PCC, who said that there were minimal hitches with the last election. But this is contrary to what a number of people have said, including the ambassador of the United States of America to Nigeria, Mary Beth Leonard, who said that Nigerians were dissatisfied with the process. In fact, the presidential candidate of the Labour Party had said that whoever must be called Your Excellency must have come to that position through an excellent route, saying it loosely. A number of Nigerians have expressed dissatisfaction with INEC's performance. So a few examples, the use of IREV or the lack of use of IREV, the lack of transparency of the last election process, the violence that marred the electoral processes. I'm sure you heard about the ballot snatching. You heard about thugs going to some polling units and trying to prevent or suppress voters from exercising their franchise. So it's quite curious that you say that the election was free, fair, and credible. However, in light of all these things that have happened, I'm glad that you said talking about the importance of going to the courts, because isn't that the beauty and the power of democracy? Why is your party so opposed to that? And now, yes, on one hand, you're saying go to the courts before the results were announced. And now that the results have been announced, you're saying embrace the president-elect as Mr. Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Where do you stand? Why don't you want them to go to court anymore? Do you have evidence that they, are you privy to something that you were not privy to prior to the announcement of your candidate as winner?
Well, I think we are not against the opposition parties going to court, but your comment in respect of what the American consul to Nigeria said, mind you, in all their commentary, they have never condemned in totality, the outcome of the election. They have made references, of the problems that characterize the election. And mind you also, the INEC chairman has personally come out and also indicated some of the lapses that characterize the election. In respect of, the technological glitches, which affected the uploading of the result, he talked about it. He also talked about the inappropriate behavior, of some of the INEC staff, as well as the attitude, the selfish attitude of some unscrupulous politicians their agents and party supporters. These are all normal in every election, even overseas, But generally, this election was free and fair. This is an election whereby parties, unknown candidates, won election. It is a common knowledge that Labour Party, with no political or democratic structures, nationally, statewide, and even in local government, were able to garner about 6 million plus votes. They won 6 Senate seats. They won, I believe, 34 House of Rep seats. Even smaller parties, like Young Party, YPP, ABGA, ADC, all these little parties were able to win election. That is a testament of the credibility of this election. We've had elections in this country during the PDP years where there was institutional disenfranchisement of voters. In this particular election, there was never any evidence about disenfranchisement of voters. The issue of monetization of election in this particular election was reduced to the barest minimum. And you're talking of violence. Violence is a variable that has characterized the Nigerian elections, starting from 1979 to 83, and from 1999 to present. And like I said, this is particularly because of the inherent contradictions in our society. And it has become, you can also relate it to our political culture. So these are all the issues. Nobody is saying that the opposition parties wouldn't go to court.
Mr. Agbakahi.
The incumbent president,
Mr. Agbakahi.
President Buhari, went to court 3 occasions.
Mr. Agbakahi.
Yes.
Mr. Agbakahi, real quickly. So let's just set a lot of records straight. There was disenfranchisement of voters in these elections. All the election monitoring observers did say that. At first, the process started with INEC not coming on time to the polling unit. Secondly, thugs coming to attack the polling unit and taking materials out, scaring voters away. And thirdly, some aided by security officials. Also, INEC has come out to say there are flaws in this election, because I'm a little taken aback when you say the election was free and fair. I'm sure probably you will say this election was even was even better than June 12, 1993 elections. Probably, I'm sure you will say that in this breath, or maybe you can say that. But real quickly, you also cited America in year 2000, the elections between Al Gore and George Bush. That elections, I hope you know that the Supreme Court ordered a recount in that elections. All right? So just to set the record straight on all of those things. But I'd like to ask you, after all is said and done, if your party had lost this election, would you come out to say it was free and fair?
Okay, thank you very much. Well, I know you may have had it already. Our presidential candidate, Senator Bola Ahmed Tinubu, he came out openly, even prior to the election, that if the election did not go his way, he will accept defeat. This gentleman, Senator Bola Ahmed Tinubu, is a Democrat. Mind you, he's one of the pillars of democracy in this country. Together with people like Wole Soyinka, he fought for the democratization of this great country. He fought the despotic regime of Sani Abacha, and even went on self-exile when he was being looked for. So those are the issues. If we had lost this election, you're talking of violence and disenfranchisement. I have said it earlier, there was no institutional disenfranchisement of voters. If you have evidence of this institutional disenfranchisement, you can bring it along.
But Mr. Agbakahi,
let me tell you
something. Mr. Agbakahi, hang on a minute. I've given you the facts on ground. Even INEC alluded that his electoral officers not coming to polling units on time automatically disenfranchise millions of voters. That was institutional. Wasn't INEC an institution?
Even INEC has come out to say that there were flaws in the process. Maybe I'd like to refer you to, the meeting that the INEC officials and the chairman of INEC did hold the other day in Abuja, I think 2 days ago. They have come out to say all of these things. And in fact, they also further said that negligent members of staff of INEC will be put out of the system. So they have accepted responsibility for, one, disenfranchising voters, and two, for the fact that there are flaws in the election process. So if the regulators of something say we made mistakes, then what are you saying? Where are your facts?
No. The point I'm making is this. Mind you, INEC is an independent body. INEC is in no way interwoven with APC as a party. And there has never been any evidence that INEC colluded either with the federal government or state government to disenfranchise voters. So disenfranchisement of voters, the one that INEC talked about, it's something that is inherent in our society. In every election in this country, the delivery of voting materials, as well as the deployment of INEC staff, has happened in several elections. So the issue of logistics that the INEC chairman referred to is not a new thing. So, but when you look at it in its entirety, you will find out that this election, it was not a bad election. And I heard you talk about disenfranchisement of voters. Mind you, there are some states that there were also disenfranchisement of APC voters. Typical examples, which we already have records of. Go to Anambra State, go to Enugu State, where Peter Obi, the presidential candidate of Labour Party, got over 500,000 votes. And APC and PDP were getting less than 10,000 votes. A typical example again is in Enugu State, where Peter Obi got almost 480-something or 90-something thousand votes. And APC as a party garnered only 4,000 plus votes.
So are you saying those were rigged?
Let's reason together.
Are you saying those were rigged? Are you saying the elections in those
areas? I am telling you that we've also got... No. What I'm saying is that we have also gotten evidence that there were voter suppression. There were voter suppression. There were voter intimidation against APC members in this state.
So if that's the case, so why do you accept an election where there was voter suppression against your party?
But no. That's what I'm saying. There were voter.
So why do you accept it? Why do you accept it if you have evidence?
There were voter suppression and intimidation.
Good. So why do you accept that election if there were voter suppression against your party members? Why don't you just call it out and say it's flawed that you want a redo?
Okay, listen, let me answer your question.
Please keep it brief because we're about to go.
There is no perfect election.
Please keep it brief.
There is no perfect election all over the world. You remember vividly in 2007 election or 2003, President Obasanjo came out openly when he was asked questions by the foreign press, I believe in London or US. He said it categorically that there is no perfect election. But what you do is you check all the variables involved and you check comparatively with other elections. After all, there was an election last time in Uganda. There is no way you can compare the election in Uganda with that of Nigeria.
Well,
and there is no way you can compare other elections in this country. Yes.
Mr. Agbakahi, well, unfortunately, that's all we'll be able to take. I understand your passion and commitment to your party. Thank you very much for joining us on The Morning Show.